Recently, I thought of selling my A7 II. After all, it's nearly been 10 years since I actually bought it. And compared with my A7C II, this might as well be in a museum. But the issue is that it's been 10 years and this would likely not bring any value even if I were to sell it. And at the same time, I have a crazy thought. Why not do a video comparing these two cameras? After all, this A7C II is literally a A7 II but in a compact camera body. And I'm really curious how 10 years between both of these has the technology actually changed and improved. Both of these are full-frame cameras, but are they actually that far apart? After all, both of these are full-frame cameras, but are they actually that far apart? That's why in this video, we're going to put them through photo and video tests, as well as some ergonomic comparisons to see how much 10 years has made to this Sony camera lineup. So, if you are curious or simply have some time to burn, this video should be interesting. Now, before we continue, I need to preface this video by saying that both of these are by no means an apples-to-apples comparison. The A7 II is a 24.3 megapixel, while the A7C II is 33 megapixels. So there's already a megapixel difference in them. And ergonomically speaking, this is a compact version of the A7 lineup. So some of the things, such as the viewfinder, is missing. And oh yeah, if you notice, you can't really see the logo on this one. What happened was, few years back, I actually bought a cheap tape to tape it on top of this camera itself to make it somehow look cheaper so that it doesn't get stolen. But the quality of the tape was so bad that if I were to peel it, you can see it looks really ugly. So we are just going to leave it on. Now let's start with the photo department. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the same lens for both of these cameras. The one that I have on my A7C II is actually the Samyang 35mm, and on my A7CII, I keep getting it wrong. A7 II is my kit lens, the 28 to 70. So for both of these, we're going to stick to 35mm at f5.6. Because by now you should already know that going to the most shallow depth of field or even at the darkest do not produce the best results. I think f5.6 usually have one of the sharpest details regardless of lens. So let's get some pictures at the back. Here are the photos side by side. Now, as most of the time I'm holding two cameras at once, it's near impossible to capture them at the same time with the same angle. In this close-up, you can notice more details coming up from the A7C II, especially in the leaves of the trees. You can also notice that the A7 II is generally more green and cool than usual. Over here, you can see the A7C II handles highlights a lot better, as the details on the man's shirt is more noticeable in the creases compared with the A7 II. Here are two more additional photos which I took with the natural light, which reflects the same results you have seen so far. That is where we'll be going. I also find that generally the A7 II is more contrast heavy, which might not be good if you plan to edit in post. Now let's talk about their video capabilities. Anyway, to further distract you, there's actually this little waterfall at the back. which they newly built in one of the terminals in Singapore. Now, in terms of autofocus, you'll know by now it's not going to be a fair comparison. For one, the sensors on both of these are very different. So the sensor on this is actually the CMOS Bion X processor, while this is the CMOS Bion XR processor. So this has a total about 700 autofocus points, while this has only 117 autofocus points. Quite a lot of difference. So let's do a start with using their tracking capabilities. So we are now just doing the autofocus test. So you can see I'm going to go out of frame. This is another video test which I did back before I cut my hair, which I find is more consistent and accurate representation of both of their autofocuses. The A7II struggles a lot with focusing on me. You can notice it trying to hunt a lot more, while the A7C II has no issues at all to find me and no noticeable hunting. So that was actually the autofocus test, the tracking test. So there's also stabilization modes. But as you guys know, the stabilization modes of both of these definitely varies a lot. For one, the A7II only has the standard stabilization, while the A7C II has actually 3 other modes of stabilization. You have the standard, you have the active, and then recently they gave us the dynamic active, which is really crazy. I only thought that my Sony ZV-1, the one that I'm recording, will be able to have this dynamic active. I have never expected Sony to include it on the A7C II. But with that, this really makes it really outstanding in terms of video. But let's just try them out. So we're going to start with off first. So this is off. Then we're going to go with the active, the standard. Then we're going to go to the active. Lastly, this is the dynamic active. Quite a little bit of crop, but you see once I move it around, it's actually a lot more stable. Now let's walk around with the lens to do this test, but unfortunately the 35mm doesn't allow a lot of space for me to do this test well, but let's give it a try. So this is without stabilization, and this is standard, and this is the active. Now I cannot on the dynamic active without having to to switch off and on to record again. So I have to do that now. So this is the dynamic active. So usually once you've included all these stabilizations, there's actually a huge crop into it. I would say this is nearly double the times, or at least 1.5 times, but you can see I'm definitely in focus. Just nice, the battery on my Sony A7II just ran out. But I guess it's due to the long overuse of it throughout these few years. But I was really surprised. I actually bought 2 full batteries for the A7II and it's both run out. But we still managed to get what we needed to get. Another huge difference will be how the photos turn out in low light. You can still see details in the trees while the A7II is barely visible. You will be able to notice that the A7C II maintains more details in the shadowy areas. So now let's talk a little bit about their ergonomics. For one, the A7C II, you can look at the dials. There are quite a few different options over here. Now what you see over here compared with the A7C is a lot more simplified. So you can see the A7C, they have taken away some of the other options over there, such as the scene modes. Now the other thing is that the hand grip. So for the hand grip for this one, okay, I got to remove the hand grip for the A7C also. So once we look at the hand grip, you can see the A7II hand grip seems to be a bit sharper, while the A7C tends to be a bit rounder. As for the microphones, The built-in microphones, the one that was on my A7II is at the back, while here is at the front. Turning to the back, it's not worlds apart, but I guess it's not a very fair comparison for this one, seeing that the A7 IV does retain some of these other features over here. Oh, I forgot, there are actually two other areas I did not cover. Number one is the batteries. Now, the older batteries that come with the A7II series are actually these NPFV50 batteries, which only has a charge about 1020 mAh, which obviously doesn't last you a day. This can go at most for maybe an hour, and then you'll need another one. So I will need at least 3 or 4 for a half-day shoot, which really sucks. Whereas the one that is on the newer Sony cameras is the NPFZ100 batteries. Now this has an mAh about 2280, which lasts you for a good 2 hours for solid recording, video recording. Now this makes life a lot easier as you will not need to carry a lot of these. Maybe 2 or 3 can last you for the whole day. And I'm actually recording at 4K for the record. Now the other area of improvements is its screen. So for the screens for the Sony A7II, it's just an articulating screen. So all you can do is just flip it this way and this way. You cannot invert it backwards. Whereas for the A7C, you can actually invert it for selfie modes. And needless to say, this has touch to focus, which is extremely helpful. After all the tests that we have done, I think we can agree that 10 years is a large span of time, and the improvements are tremendous. I'm so glad I actually moved from the Canon system, my Canon 70D, all the way to this Sony A7II, and then this right now. The video capabilities are definitely something which I really need compared to what I had before. So what do you guys think? Which area of improvements is the most significant to you? For me as a content creator, it's definitely the video autofocusing. How about you? I'm curious. Let me know down in the comments below. If not, see you guys in the next video.